He proudly supports the student athletes, coaches, officials, and teachers of Iowa high schools, Hy-Vee, making life easier, healthier, and happier. And we also come to you from the Des Moines Import Studios. Des Moines Imports, located off I-8035 on Highway 141 in Grimes, and located always at DesMoinesImports.com. The Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau reminds us that texting kills. Log on to iagtsb.org. The Governor's Safety Bureau reminding us that it is thumbs down on texting while driving. Along with Eduardo Tomez, our TV side producer, Ben Carroll on the radio side, I'm Tony Enseni, in for Mike Rickard tonight here on Friday Night Live, the summer edition, as we go around the state talking to some of our great affiliates again this Friday night on the scene of Iowa high school softball and baseball. Reminder, if you're looking for the latest rankings in Iowa high school softball and baseball, the Iowa Sports Connection provides them every Monday morning on our website at iowasportsconnection.com. We also update twice weekly the statistical leaders in Iowa high school softball and baseball as well in all four classes and all the major categories on the batting and the pitching side as well. So go to iowasportsconnection.com as well as daily all the scores that we can get in updated from the Iowa high school girls and boys athletic associations and unions, as well as what's provided to us. So iowasportsconnection.com, your provider of what's going on in Iowa high school softball and baseball throughout the summer. Is he ready? Do we have him?
Yep.
All right. He is Curtis Anderson. He is the host of Your Sports Show in Sioux City on KMNS AM620, a great affiliate of ours, and also a play-by-play voice up there for all Sioux City sports, and not only Sioux City, Iowa, but on the Nebraska side as well. He is Have Mike Will Travel. How are you, Curtis?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Tony?
Not bad. I'm hoping you're doing great. How are things, by the way, before we sit there and talk the silly thing of sports and what we love to do and cover, but a lot of people holding their breath right now up in that Sioux City area.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess I always look back at sports and say at least there's a diversion. We can go watch a ball game or have some fun on the side whenever you can, because otherwise you're just going to sit and watch the water rise around here.
Yeah. And it's neat to see, though, here, especially in the state of Iowa, how we come together and you see these kids, that sometimes they get the bad rap. Kids today, we always think, when we get older, the same thing they were saying about us when we were young. But boy, when they need a helping hand, those kids are out there filling those sandbags and doing everything they can to help their community as well.
And that's one of the things, and it is just a tough thing for so many families up here. But you just see so many good things. I'd say every baseball team, every softball team, from the Sioux City Explorers all the way down, have made their rounds of just getting in the formation, filling sandbags. We've been doing it for, now it's been 2 weeks, and it's just a constant. It's almost like a churn in life. You just go out, someone needs some help, and it comes out there. You see it all over the Midwest, and I think it's just awesome.
Now, I got to ask you, Curtis, have you seen Rickard up there at all?
Rickard always is in a hurry somewhere, so
I haven't. Big cabin of his up there. I heard it's a pretty big place up there in that Sioux City at that lake. Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, see, me and you are still waiting for our invite. So
I know. I've been told about it, but I've never seen that mansion of a place he has up there.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Well, let's talk some softball and baseball in your area, and it's kind of unusual because usually in baseball we talk Sioux City North, but I guess in softball this season we can go to the east side of town because the Black Raiders are doing well in both of them.
Oh, they really are, and I think that's what we kind of looked at the beginning of the year. Let's start with softball. Softball, they made it to state last year. They returned, I think they lost 2 players. They returned just about absolutely everyone. And, I mean, it is, they are very, very solid on the year. What do they got? Michaela Weaver's on the mound for them every game. She's a senior, 17-2, 6-0 in the conference. And I think East had to travel, all the way across the state to finally pick up their first 2 losses after 14 straight wins. And that was some competition, I think everyone knows about over towards the Cedar Rapids area.
Cedar Rapids, Jefferson over there, and those type of teams, yeah, no doubt. That's what's fun about softball. You have your regular season games, your conference games, but on the weekends, I mean, no matter where you go, you can find a tournament being played somewhere where you have multiple teams from multiple classes doing round-robin play or tournament play. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Well, it really is, and I think that's one thing. When you see the top teams or the teams that really have goal setting of making it to state or doing some damage there, they want to go find the best teams they can. And there are some very fine teams around this area, but you also want to see something different. You want to see a different style, maybe big hitters, maybe big pitching, what have you. Only makes you better.
Yeah. A couple of names recognizable. It used to be on the boys' side, but you can go to the girls' side now as well in softball with Abby Palo. That last name's familiar. And then Brittany Mosier.
Yeah, exactly. It is funny. Abby Palo, following in older brother's footsteps, who wasn't too bad at East at quarterback for them, and any sport he was. He's pretty good in basketball as well. And Mosier, you say a Mosier, and there's always a pretty good Mosier around here. But they can put the ball in play. They play solid defense, and they got Michaela on the mound. My goodness, they're not too bad. But here's the thing: when you go over to East High, you got the baseball field and the softball field nearby. You got to make a choice which one, because that baseball team over there is not too bad at 14-7, 8-3 in conference play, and they return everybody that started from last year, including the entire pitching staff.
Yeah, they've had and they're hitting the ball too. Austin Stubbs and Dom Thompson Williams off to great starts. One of the top tens in hitting in Class 4A. Tell you an awful lot about that ball club. When you have good pitching and then you can out-hit your pitching on some nights, that sure helps an awful lot.
Well, and that was one of the things. A lot of people had high hopes about East last year, and they got upset. And you look at it this year, and it's not that big of an upset. But in playoffs, they fell to Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln, and Abe Lincoln actually has some really good batters on that team. It's one of those teams you go, uh-oh, we better not face them in the playoffs,
So they're one of those teams that under the radar, and then when you face them, you kind of took them lightly, and by the time you realize that you're in trouble. We're talking to Curtis Anderson, the host of your sports show and play-by-play voice on KMNS AM620 in the Sioux City area, and part of our great Friday Night Live programming up there, especially during the fall and the winter with football and basketball season. We're talking softball tonight and baseball as well. Now, we talked about the big schools, and of course, Sioux City East dominating the big class in 4A. Bishop Hewlin's always usually pretty good up there in that Class 3A, but some of the smaller schools in your area to keep an eye on as well.
Well, yeah, we stay on the softball side. Just a couple names I want to put out there just because they hit some milestones. Sergeant Bluff, another fine year for that crew. Tom Prince just picked up his 500th win in 17 years. This is a guy who has 30-plus wins in the last 6 years. The guy knows how to put a program together. Terrific guy, and he just keeps on going. They always are tough, and that's one of them. The other one, Woodbury Central. A lot of people might have seen them over the years that sneaks into state every once in a while because they always have to go against maybe an Akron Westfield, depending on what level they are, Westwood or what have you. But Brian Alfredson just picked up win number 400 this week. So a couple old-time coaches picking up some good accolades.
That's great stuff there. Well, as the baseball and softball season, we have the pitching of the circle change where they went back 3 feet. It's really made it softball more of a hitter's game now. Pitchers are now learning to adjust because you can't rely if you have that strong-armed girl who can throw a fastball. Everybody can hit that now with that extra 3 feet. That little split second of time helps an awful lot. Now you've got to become a pitcher and throw it in spots. But I think the most important change I've seen when it comes to high school softball, used to be able to sit there and watch pitchers just throw the Ks up and the fielders could relax. Now you better have a defense behind you.
Well, you really do, and they're starting to get it. I know last year was kind of one of those we figured we'd see a lot of hits, and this year, if you're a top pitcher, well, you got to come with heat, and you got to place that ball so well. Sergeant Bluff has a very good freshman who's got a 1.75 ERA in Miles Ludwigs, but the one to look at, and everyone's going to see it, they'll see it at state. I could throw that down right now. Brandy Davis from Akron Westfield. Yeah. With a longer pitcher, .63 ERA and sitting 11-1 for Todd Colt up there in Akron Westfield. I mean, they are just a juggernaut, and all they do is hit well, play great defense, and pitch outstanding. I don't know where the weakness is.
Yeah, they've been tough for years. That's a great softball program up there. You talked about Woodbury Central of Mobile, and they got a pre-freshman because in Iowa high school sports, once the school season's over, if you're a softball or baseball player and you're going to become a freshman the next year, you can play softball and freshman out of the 8th grade class, and they have a young lady in Haley Steele who's got a 0.80 ERA heading into this week's action. Pre-freshman, that's going to tell you that Woodbury Central program's got some stars coming in the future.
Oh, I know it. They have a couple good ones, and that's I always look at Akron, the smaller schools, Akron, Westfield, and Woodbury Central. I remember calling, they were in the same level, but they've split up. It all depends on the classification each year, but I remember calling so many region finals between those two groups, and winner goes to state and has a good chance of winning state. And so, yeah, it's Woodbury Central, when they look at the girls' side of sports, softball comes first.
You know, track and field's over, but last weekend, one of the finest out of the state of Iowa, out of Sioux City East herself, and Shelby Houlihan, had to go up to New York and prove her wares, and had an outstanding finish in that big mile race with the best milers in the country here in the United States running there. Did you get to see some of that effort on the video?
Oh, God. No, I didn't see this effort, but I had a chance. I interviewed her a few times, and, you know, she's just one of those kids that she's such a success story, but she always wants to get better. She's like, yeah, that was good, but my goal is going to be a couple more seconds, and that's what you call a winner.
Yeah, I got to see that Grand Mile, and it was unbelievable. She was right there in the front, top 5 the whole race out of Sioux City, Iowa. The pride of Iowa out there running. Kind of took a shot at that leader, but the front 2 girls kind of dominated, wouldn't let anybody by, and she ended up in, I think, 4th in the nation. So that's still an outstanding effort.
Yeah, and she's getting ready to be a big star down in Arizona when she goes to college next year. I mean, she has been. I mean, it's like, okay, here she comes across the finish. Now wait. There we go. There's second. And it's fun to watch when you see that. I mean, it has to be some God-given talent on those kind of things. And I know her dad's a heck of a coach, a heck of a track background, but yeah, you got to have some natural talent to be able to just strive past everybody.
So as of today, what's the situation up there in northwest Iowa from Sioux City? I know I-29, a major part of that, shut down because of the high waters. But what are you looking at? Any breaches or any major dangers that you're hearing as of today?
They had a breach yesterday, and this is over on the South Dakota side, up at Dakota Dunes, which is, everybody that knows, there's quite a few Heelan players that come from Dakota Dunes up there. It's a nice area, but they are in trouble. But that breach came, and they fixed it. They got a big dozer out there, or what have you. I don't know. That's technical talk for me. But they contained it and brought it back. They're all pretty optimistic that they're still on the levels of not exceeding, where the Corps said, hey, this is how high it's going to be. Unless, of course, we get rain like overnight. Last night it was just horrendous. It just poured all the way around, and you're just kind of going, why? I think people are kind of getting settled a little bit. People are starting to get out and say, we gotta go out and, like I said, go catch a ball game or something to get your mind off it, because it's just a waiting game. I talk to so many people, and you go, well, a tornado is disastrous. It hits and you're done. The flooding that's occurring is, oh, by the way, it's coming, and you can't do anything about it, and it's really, really too bad.
Yeah, and it's not only affecting the land or the homes that people are living in, so many displaced in their homes, but in a lot of positions, jobs. I mean, during this whole time, a lot of people will be out of their job because of what's going on in their area. They're underwater, so that even doubles the pain and suffering they're having.
Oh, exactly, because then they just sit around and think about it, which is just terrible. I mentioned the Dunes. South Sioux City, of course, you hear about them in basketball, whether it's girls or boys, and, for being around this area. That area they have a lot of levees up there, and you hope for the best, but they're in such a bad spot as well, and you got to hope the best over there. It's just one of those things. You just kind of sit and wait, and you hope,
Yeah, you do. There's nothing you can do with Mother Nature. She's going to do what she's going to do, and we just got to hope for the best and do what we can humanly possible, and that's be there for our friends and neighbors. If we're not involved, get involved. That's the only thing you can do.
Well, and I saw it, we mentioned it right away, Tony, is that when people came out and did all the sandbagging, I look back and I don't know if all Iowa remembers when Mapleton, Iowa, not too far from here, got just hit so bad by a tornado. Oh, gosh, it's been a couple months. And they were so overwhelmed with people, not only from just this area, all over the state of Iowa that came in and say, hey, what can we do? And I guess, disaster strikes, it's such a good positive thing to see how people react like that.
Yeah, no doubt, Curtis. Curtis Anderson, AM620 in Sioux City, the host of your sports show. When people are in your area and they turn on AM620, what time can they catch your show there, Curtis?
4 to 6 o'clock. We talk mostly high school the first hour, second hour, of course, college is out around, but normally during the season we touch on college all over the region. We do local first, then regional, and then we say, hey, whatever the heck you guys want to talk about, just give us a call type of thing.
That's great. Curtis Anderson, thanks for joining us this Friday night. Best of luck up to you throughout this week and weekend and the rest of the summer. We'll try to catch up with you again, brother.
Perfect. Have a great night, Tony.
All right. Curtis Anderson, he is the voice of your sports show and the play-by-play voice of sports in the Sioux City area on KMNS AM620. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more. It's Friday Night Live on the Iowa Sports Connection radio and television network.